Assalamualaikum and a very good day to the chairperson and all participants of MICER 2024. I am Erda Bakar from the Language Centre, National Defence University of Malaysia, and I'm here to present my research entitled From Crisis to Continuity, Harnessing Sustainable Online Learning to Mitigate Crisis and Disruptions at Higher Education and Integrative Review. This research is co-authored with Mr. Ahmad Fahimi Ameh, Dr. Ahmad Tamrini Fazlin Said Mohamad, and Professor Dr. Jawati Johari. Today, I'll be sharing with you the research background, problem statement, followed by the research question. I also will be elaborating on the methodology and present the discussion of findings. Finally, I will conclude my presentation with concluding remarks and implication of the study. The COVID-19 pandemic, which swept across the globe in early 2020, brought about unprecedented challenges and disruptions to every facet of human life. One of the most profoundly affected sectors was higher education. With the sudden onset of the pandemic, colleges and universities worldwide found themselves at the epicenter of a crisis that demanded rapid adaptation and innovative solutions. This monumental event not only reshaped the landscape of higher education, but also underscored the sector's resilience and capacity for transformation. A crisis can be seen as a chance to discover new paths and pose fundamental questions. Thus, it has the potential to initiate a sustainable transformation. The acceleration of digital transformation in higher education began even before the pandemic. The digital transformation process is fundamentally altering higher education by prioritizing the development of technological skills and the adoption of digital learning methods. Sustainable online learning models have emerged as key instruments for higher education institutions to successfully navigate crises and upheavals. Online learning is argued to be more sustainable due to its affordances to be personalized and accessible, which ultimately leads to a more effective and enjoyable learning journey for students. Therefore, making it one of the practical solutions to minimize crisis to maintain the continuity of higher education in an increasingly uncertain world. This paper aims to review the related literature that highlights the survival and continuity of higher education institutions post-pandemic related to teaching and learning by applying strategies and pedagogical approaches that are adaptable, flexible, agile, and sustainable, which foreground the welfare and needs of students and educators. This research is guided by a research question. How can the implementation of flexible, agile, adaptive, and sustainable strategies and pedagogical approaches in teaching and learning that prioritize the needs and welfare of students and educators be perceived as the reliable means of preparing and empowering higher education institutions for future disruptions? To answer the research questions for this review, an integrative review approach as proposed by Beyer and Nicole, Katcher and Lebaron, and Souza was adopted. An integrative review enables the inclusion of both experimental and non-experimental studies, assesses and synthesizes data from various sources to comprehend the examined phenomenon. To ensure a rigorous and critical integrative review, Souza proposed that authors to abide to 7 fundamental steps of producing an integrative review. First, to select a concept. 2, to determine aims for the analysis. 3, to perform the literature search. 4, to organize and evaluate the data. 5th, to analyze and synthesize the findings. 6, summarize results and formulate conclusions. And finally, to disseminate the findings. 2 databases were used to conduct the literature search, Scopus and Google Scholar. To further support and enrich the findings of related literature, manual citation tracking techniques was also used to synthesize material from online databases. Various phrases were listed such as higher education, crisis, post-pandemic, online education, sustainable education, teaching and learning, and digital technology. The search string focused on title, abstract, and keywords to gather evidence to answer the research question on the implementation of flexible, agile, adaptive, and sustainable strategies and pedagogical approaches in teaching and learning, which prioritize the needs and welfare of both students and educators as the reliable means of preparing and empowering higher education institutions for the post-pandemic era. The inclusion criteria for selecting articles include only empirical articles published between 2022 and 2023, research articles that were written in English language and research contexts that were primarily conducted in Asia. 862 articles were found and scrutinized according to the inclusion criteria. 700 articles were removed due to duplicates and exclusion criteria. Further, 162 articles were removed after the screening process. 50 articles were further assessed for eligibility, and 84 articles were excluded for not fulfilling the inclusion criteria. Thus, only 28 articles are found to be eligible to be included in the review for the study. Based on the findings from the integrative review, results from the reviewed literature were manually processed and synthesized using Braun and Clark 2021 thematic analysis methodologies. This includes arranging and tidying up the codes to guarantee consistency and find recurring themes for the review during the raw data coding phase. The review of literature has revealed the different manner the epidemic has urged a transition in teaching and learning, which is now directed towards a more autonomous and self-guided learning style. Students are increasingly accountable for their own learning, exercising autonomy in determining the focus and managing their time effectively. The viability of face-to-face delivery is argued to be gradually diminished in contemporary learning environment. Therefore, robust strategies that encompass inventive and adaptable methods of delivering instruction, online assignments, and alternate educational frameworks need to be considered and adopted by higher education institutions. One of the most important lessons learned from the pandemic crisis is the notion that uncertainty facilitated rather than hindered the digital transformation process. Knowledge-based organizations such as higher education institutions have managed to steer the crisis by combining several digital technologies to ensure the continuity of teaching and learning and eventually staying afloat. The rapid adoption of virtual classrooms and remote learning via digital platforms as compelled by the pandemic crisis are prominent examples of digital transformation at higher education. The pandemic does not initiate new trends or discoveries related to the new normal in the aspects of learning, education, and curriculum, but rather it has accelerated the process of technologization that is already implemented at higher education. Technology transforms education setting to be accessible, flexible, and resilient, which entails the application of technology to establish inventive learning environments, enhancing the availability of educational resources, and accommodating the evolving demands of students and education settings. To ensure long-term success and adaptability, it is advisable for higher education institutions to adopt sustainable digital delivery approach to enhance the efficacy and productivity of digital delivery mechanisms. The implementation of digital transformation empowers institutions of higher education to provide a wide range of learning experiences, interactive platforms, and online courses that accommodate various learning methods and preferences. To remain competitive and provide high-quality education, universities must adapt to digital transformation, disruptive technological advances, mobile technologies, and rapid change. This may improve universities' resilience, dynamism, and receptivity to new challenges and trends. In the age of post-pandemic and in the world of uncertainties, the process of teaching and learning will be focusing more on the core term flexibility. Thus, online learning is perceived to be the most appropriate pedagogy to be applied for its robustness, versatility, resilience, and sustainability. Flexible learning, like blended learning, is a flexible approach that can boost students' self-efficacy and academic achievement as students are afforded with greater autonomy in developing creative thinking during the learning process. Blended learning combines a cloud-based learning management system, virtual learning, and in-person training integrated into an adaptive and comprehensive educational environment. Blended learning is also perceived as the preferred approach for it offers the best of two worlds: self-paced learning and social interaction through campus experience and physical tutorial sessions. Thus, it is more sustainable by fostering active collaboration between educational players at different levels and improve overall learning experiences. Digital transformation of education requires a holistic reimagining of teaching and assessment practices to effectively deliver quality education in online or hybrid environments and meet the evolving needs of students in a rapidly changing educational landscape. The second primary theme emerged from the integrative review is the need to support students' learning needs through active engagement within learning communities. To navigate the ability of higher education to maneuver future crises involves developing innovative and flexible teaching methods, including transitioning to online learning modalities, providing support for students with limited resources, and training faculty to adapt to new teaching formats. The lessons learned from the crisis-driven shifts to online education highlight the importance of enhancing digital literacy and socio-emotional interactions among students and teachers. The transition to online learning has highlighted the need for robust digital infrastructure and training for educators and students. The shift to remote teaching has also exacerbated existing inequalities in access to education, with some groups facing more significant challenges in adapting to online platforms. Online classes are one of the causes that trigger anxiety and depression issues due to isolation and lack of socialization among students at higher education. To combat this challenge, a blended and hybrid learning approach is perceived to be the best pedagogical strategy, which allows a flexible learning process that may help to alleviate some of the adverse effects of online learning. Fostering socio-emotional interactions in online environment is crucial for maintaining a sense of community, support, and engagement among students and educators. These lessons underscore the significance of continuous development in these areas to ensure successful adaptation to online and blended learning modalities. Online learning instructions should be approached from the lens of andragogy, which emphasizes on students' needs, interests, voices, and strengths. Supportive and inclusive online learning climate induces a sense of belonging where students' voices and concerns are addressed. An effective online learning can be framed according to the symbiotic relations between social presence, cognitive presence, and teachers' presence. To sustain effective hybrid or online learning, students need to feel belong in a learning community that is not bound by distance and space. Social presence helps students maintain social connections and exchange information in a mutually trusting atmosphere that encourages transparency and fairness. Cognitive presence in the form of synchronous and asynchronous discourse, reflection, and supervised individual study helps students to develop and validate meaning to a greater extent. Teaching presence refers to teachers' facilitative role in guiding social and cognitive processes of students and help them to achieve the intended learning outcomes that are both educationally and personally meaningful. Also, instructor presence improves students' learning results and satisfaction. Thus, the need of a strong instructor presence is required in establishing clear goals, organizing learning activities, guiding discourse, diagnosing misconceptions, and promoting students' participation. Based on the discussion of findings from the integrative review of the study, several implications have emerged. The pandemic forced a swift transition to online learning, underscoring the importance of digital platforms in education. This change demonstrated how vital technology is to maintain higher education even when there is physical distance. The boundaries of learning spaces between physical and digital learning environments are increasingly blurred, ergo more dynamic, inclusive, and engaging educational experiences can be offered to a wide range of students' needs and preferences. Apart from the ability to redefine and refashion the process of teaching and learning from conventional to more contemporary digitalized approaches, higher education institutions also need to demonstrate their resilience and relevancy by readjusting their curriculum, providing faculty members with the necessary skills and knowledge, and enhancing the technology infrastructure to effectively address evolving and volatile or perhaps hostile situations in the future. As conclusion, despite technology being widely regarded as a fundamental necessity in today's digital age and highly beneficial in the field of education, it is essential to bear in mind that the human elements comprising students and instructors must remain the central focus within the realm of digital transformation. Digital learning with its dual positive and negative attributes should be approached with both ethical considerations and academic rigor. The participants, including students and instructors, need to uphold academic integrity within the digital learning environment, aligning their actions with the values upheld by society and the institution. The adoption of digital transformation for educational purposes should be carried out in an ethical and humanistic manner that aims to raise a generation with both technological intelligence and potent human values. I have reached the end of my presentation. I welcome constructive comments and feedback from my team to revise and improve this research paper. Also, I welcome any collaborative effort from any of the participants today, and I can be contacted through the various contact details given. Thank you and have an excellent productive day ahead.